Call to order the City of Dunnellon Special Council meeting on April 26th, 2023. Do we all stand for the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to lead us in prayer?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for the ability for us to be able to gather together here to discuss those important matters. I pray, Father, that you will continue to bless the city of Dunnellon. I pray, Father, you will continue to bless the city council and give them the ability to make wise decisions. I pray, Father, that you will continue to bless the Dunnellon Police Department and keep all them and all first responders safe. And I pray, Father, that everyone in this building will make it home safely. For in Jesus Christ's precious name I pray and ask this, amen.
Amen.
Okay. Randy, you want to lead us in a roll call?
Yes, sir. Mayor Dunn,
Here.
Councilwoman Covich. Present. Councilperson Mendoza,
Here.
Councilman Inskeep,
Here.
Councilman Lehman,
Here.
Jan Smith, Finance Officer,
Here.
Michelle Leonard, Assistant Clerk,
Here.
Julie Danowski, Records Clerk,
Here.
Chief McQuaid, City Attorney Andrew Hand.
I'm here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the city's website and City Hall Bulletin Board on Wednesday, April 19, 2023.
Okay. Like the last meeting, please apologize to me, council. I'm going to try to lead this discussion, and I'm going to ask y'all to chime in from time to time. I want the citizens, and for the first time the council, to know what I've been doing over the last week. First thing we did, Mandy and I had the opportunity to reach out to our labor lawyer on Thursday morning and receive guidance on what I could and could not say to the police officers on staff. Over the next, actually through today, I have talked to 8 officers, and I have not talked to 5. The 5 I elected not to call were the ones that the staff and I determined were probably going to the Marion County Sheriff. So very candidly, I did not call them to discuss that. I was pretty sure from what I'd heard they were going. The other 8 officers I talked to and staff, I got mixed reviews. Some of them were definitely staying. Some of them were definitely leaving. Some of them had not made up their minds. And as this unfolds with the police department, they were very candid. They were going to wait and see how it all unfolded. Okay. One thing I did tell all of them, and I won't say it again tonight, all the officers, I've told them, regardless of them staying or going, especially for the ones that are going to the Marion County Sheriff, I do not blame them for that. They're making personal decisions about their careers and their livelihood and their families. I don't hold that against anybody, and I wanted all of them to know, I hope it works out, but if it doesn't, please come back and reapply for your job. That way, and the way I put it to them is, look, if we have openings, we will definitely consider you for another position. If we don't have openings at that time, we will definitely put you on a list and you will be considered because you were a prior employee. Okay. Then, can't even imagine how many emails, texts, phone calls that I received from citizens in this town. telling me a lot of information, a lot of rumors, a lot of actual facts, and being the way I am, I chased most of those down. Some of them were absolutely false. The rumors they were spreading or hearing weren't correct. Some of them were correct, and some of them were partially correct. But I did investigate most all of them. Again, I don't know at this point how many officers are actually going to stay. I think it will absolutely determine how this meeting goes tonight and what the feeling is of the officers once this is concluded. I do hope many of the ones that told me they were going to stay will stay, because that gives us a foundation to start. Also, I want you to know, as citizens and the police, we have started running ads as of last Thursday for a new permanent permanent chief, and for police officers to come join us in the city of Dunnellon. The last numbers I have is we have between 2 or 3 officers that have already applied for positions in our police force, and I know one of them is currently a police officer. I don't think any of them are right out of the academy, so these are experienced officers. In addition to that, we have received between 4 and 5 applications or indications of people who would like to become our police chief. So what I'm trying to tell you is this apparently is a very good place to work. A lot of people want to come here and work, and I'm very pleased with that. Okay. The next thing I wanted you to know is last Monday, I decided to take it upon myself to drive up 41 to the sheriff substation and discuss with them what they might know about what was going on here in Dunnellon. To my amazement, they said they didn't know anything. The sheriff hadn't discussed it with them. No one had discussed it with them. They did tell me that one of the employees there on staff, because that person lives in Dunnellon, had mentioned it to some of the officers. And the officers immediately called up, I guess, to their, I think they said they called to their captain and their major above them to find out what they might know about the situation in Dunnellon. We're told nobody knew anything. Okay. Also went to the Marion County Sheriff's Office in Ocala on Monday because I had requested under Freedom of Information a list of all applicants to the Marion County Sheriff's Office in the last year. I got that information and reviewed it. That was mainly to confirm with me what people were doing and how they were responding to all this. Again, that was just from my own personal knowledge. Got that information, I have reviewed it, and I can share it with anybody on the council that would like to see it. The next thing I can tell you is, I forgot to say something when I started. I want to thank Andrew and his firm and Brett Yaw and his firm. He's our labor lawyer. And Mandy and the staff here for helping me this last week go through all of this information. This is a very delicate and I think very critical step we're taking here. And we need to fully understand what is going on and how it's been approached by everybody. Okay. The last thing I can tell you is I had the privilege, and I'm very sincere about this, I had the privilege last night of talking with Sheriff Billy Woods on the phone for quite a while. I can tell you the first thing out of my mouth was I apologized for my actions at the prior meeting. He accepted my apology and he and I went to work. We had a very, very good conversation. He was very helpful, and all I can sum it up and say is the sheriff and the Marion County Police Department is going to do everything in their power to support the citizens of Dunnellon. They recognize this as a critical part of the county, and as he put it, anything you want, I'll find a way to get it to you. Okay? All right. Now, last week, Sheriff did bring us 3 options, option A, B, and C. And last night, or yesterday, I discussed those 3 options with the Marion County Sheriff. We discussed them in detail, and pretty much his comment that all the employees of the Dunnellon Police Department were leaving in option A, I told him was not correct, that I had reached out, and unless everybody changed their minds, some of those people were going to stay. Then I told him option C was clearly not an option, because that option was we will dissolve the City of Dunnellon Police Department and turn it over to the Marion County Sheriff. Sheriff Billy Woods was very understanding of those 2 items. Then we got into a lot of detail on leasing officers for the service of the City of Dunnellon. I have been told a number of different scenarios that this could work or will not work, and he and I had a very frank, open discussion, and I was very pleased with the way that went down. What we've been told is, first, that if we lose all 8 officers, he will provide us with 8 officers. If we don't have a temporary chief, he will provide us with a temporary chief. After that, he and I had a long discussion. I said, Sheriff, I know of a few officers that are probably going to stay. So what happens if I only need 6 officers and don't need a temporary chief? He said, if you need 6 officers, I'll give you 6 officers. If you need 4 officers, I'll give you 4 officers. This is totally negotiable, no strings attached. You notify me what you need and we will provide it. I felt extremely good about that comment. Okay. Take a minute to get through all this. Okay. All right. Based on that discussion, I have asked this council to consider 3 proposals tonight. And I want to go over those proposals, but then again, once public comments on these and any discussion this council would like to do, I appreciate it. I need to stop right now. Is any of the council got anything else they want to say? Have they been doing that I don't know about because we can't talk?
I did have a discussion with Chris Scaglione. I did have a conversation with Chris Scaglione yesterday, and my questions were about hiring and hiring out of state someone. We can only hire, according to Chris, 1 rookie, meaning trainee. That's it. If a officer would want to come from another state, I'm talking about an officer that has years of experience, perhaps retired, wants to come back full shift or half shifts or whatever, they would actually have to go through a 2-month training program, and they could gain that training program out with Lakuchi Tech. So that is what I have learned. Thanks to Chris. Thank you.
Good, good. Anything else from you guys? Okay, I'm not, again, I feel like I'm taking over the whole meeting, but I'm just trying to tell you what I've been doing.
No, to be perfectly frank, Wally, I know myself, I stayed out of it because talking with Mandy, you've been working day and night on this, and I simply didn't want to get in the middle and muddy things up. So
Okay.
really appreciate your work.
I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. So the first proposed motion tonight, based on what I have learned from the Marion County Sheriff, Billy Woods, is we need to lease Marion County officers until full-time officers can be found and qualified to serve. And what I'm understanding from talking with sheriffs and chiefs and officers, this could take, like you just described, Jan, it could take a number of weeks, even a number of months, depending on the person that's applying. But I would like to make a motion that we accept the proposal of the Marion County Sheriff's Office to provide us with replacement officers until qualified officers can be found, basically Plan B. Can I get a motion for that?
Do we have discussion?
We will, second.
So moved.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Now I want to have public comments. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this topic? Okay. Is anybody out in the Zoom land want to speak?
I do not have any hands raised.
Okay, great. All right, now discussion.
Well, Mayor, I do just have one question so I can understand from a legal perspective. I know we haven't seen an agreement or anything coming from the sheriff. Is there an intent to enter into an agreement for the leasing? So this is more of just this is the direction that the city council
Right.
wants to move in as opposed to something binding?
That's correct. I mean,
Understood.
again, for everybody, my discussion with Sheriff Woods last night was really laying the groundwork, what he was telling me he would agree to do, some parameters I put around that and he put around it. But again, there's nothing in writing. There probably should be, and I think there will be, that we both understand kind of where this is going. But listen to him. He's willing to step up and basically help us out. And I want to get that kind of confirmed, and then I think the next step is getting together and coming up with some kind of written document.
I think it should just be clear, the record should then make that it's not a legal commitment, but this is a course of action. So
Right.
it will be a motion that the council is following, and that if the parameters don't quite shake out to council's liking, of course, it's not something to binding.
Exactly.
If that's on the record, I think council is very safe to proceed.
Okay, all right. Any discussion?
That was my question about what we were voting on tonight. And do you have an idea of when, if we vote on this tonight, when when those officers from our department are going to be leaving? So we can have some dates in mind, so we can start laying out a calendar framework of what we have to do rather than just being back here in 2 weeks, because everybody's leaving tomorrow.
Okay, that's an excellent question. Okay. You want another question, or you want me to answer that one?
No, I'll ask
Okay, what I've heard, and again, this is discussing this with a lot of different people, the officers that are going to leave and have indicated they're going to leave, they've got to go through a process with Marion County Sheriff. That process will take some time. I don't know where each officer is in that process. I don't know how fast that's moving. But kind of the discussion I had with Sheriff Woods last night was as these officers leave, and that was the other thing I didn't say. All the officers that are here today got jobs. They're staying here. We're going to pay them. I don't want them leaving until they've got a job with Marion County Sheriff. So I don't want any indication from anybody that, hey, we're going to get rid of all of them tomorrow and take on all these officers from Marion County. The plan that the sheriff and I discussed is our officers will stay here. As they qualify to go to Marion County Sheriff, they will be leaving. When they notify us they're leaving, then we need to notify Sheriff what we need, and that number's going to change. And as it changes up and down, he said he'd work with us. So that's a very good question. But right now, I have no idea what their basis is. Question?
Two of mine just got answered. So prior to, we will work out contract details then prior to, at some point, officers leaving. When do we see that happening?
I hope to do it very quickly, but I have no idea. I mean, I'll have to get with the sheriff and find out who in his office works on these kind of agreements. Probably have to get Andrew involved and get us all together and work out this agreement. I'm hopeful that this agreement can be resolved and agreed upon by all parties before anybody leaves, but I have no idea how long it's going to take. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what the policy is on the notice that the officers are giving us?
I don't know.
I mean, would the officers be giving 30 days notice or they wouldn't? Because it just seems like I follow what you're saying, that they're going to be hired with the sheriff, but, you know, like, I guess I'm just thinking from our perspective, we should have some planning notice.
The department heads are only required to give 30 days notice.
Okay?
I believe it's 2 weeks. In the personnel manual, it defines leaving in good standing so that you're eligible to get your payouts and things like that of accrued leave. And I believe that speaks to 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great question.
And
Okay.
have you heard anything about the cost associated with the sheriff providing interim officers?
Yes, I have. And I'm almost afraid to speak it in public. The sheriff basically said, you know, I gave you guys A, B, and C. His comment to me yesterday was, I'll work with you any way I can. It may even amount to, I will give you up to 90 days of staff free of charge. So again, this has to be in writing. I mean, because I don't know if, what he was talking about, was he talking about everybody or certain people or a certain number, but he told me that he would consider giving up to 90 days of his officer time to the city of Dunnellon for free. And we just go from there. Again, I think he's trying to demonstrate to all of us that Marion County Sheriff is willing to step up and do what we need to do. And we both agree, and that's the point I was making to him and he made to me, is our officers are gradually transitioning over. They have jobs in Dunnellon. We want them to stay here. We want them to keep working. And once they get through this process and they go, then we'll have to hire or borrow people from Marion County Sheriff. But they have a job here until that transition takes place. And then when we bring officers in, they'll stay here until we find adequate replacements.
I just have one question. Sure. I know it's farther down the road, but when if we do start using Marion County Sheriffs, are they going to be using their cars and versus our cars with our markings, so there's something happens? You know, it's just, I know it's farther down the road, but.
Right. We got cars,
Okay.
so I would imagine they use ours, but I don't know.
Okay.
That's something we got to work out.
Okay.
Okay. We've got,
I just want to make a comment. I think if they're wearing a Marion County Sheriff officer uniform, they're going to be driving a MSCO patrol car.
they probably will
Because of
be.
the equipment involved and so on.
Right, right. Probably will be. Again, that's something we got to work out the details. Okay. Anybody else got any questions? Okay, we've had a motion and a second and some discussion. Can I have a vote? All in favor of the motion to lease officers from Marion County Sheriff, subject to a written agreement? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, unanimous, good. Okay. The next proposed motion that I wanted to discuss was to appoint Chris Scaglione as our temporary chief in Dunnellon, for the Dunnellon Police Department, effective tomorrow. As a temporary chief, his duties and pay will be adjusted accordingly. Do I have any public comments? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Rob Bradshaw, 1419 East 14, Ocala, Florida, 34471. I just want to comment, I know Chris Scaglione. I think he's a fine person, and I think he'd do a great job. I just wanted to throw out that there are other people ready to start tomorrow and who have already prepared salary surveys and a recruiting plan that could be put into effect immediately. And I think we may not have to worry about leasing employees if an aggressive plan of recruiting is started immediately.
Hold on just a minute.
Are we back live?
Yeah. And you can start over again, that's fine.
That's fine. I won't take long.
Okay.
But I do totally support Chris Scaglione. I think he'd make a great permanent chief, if not temporary chief. But I do want to say that my experience has been that when we have progression through the ranks, many times in law enforcement, and I've seen it over my 40 years, that they train out of officers the ability to look at different options and to approach things proactively. I think that's why you continue to see the problems that you have. I would like, if I could, present to the council a survey that I conducted this week of salaries, because I think the success of the city of Dunnellon police recruitment and retention, and whether certain officers make decisions, and I totally respect their decisions to provide for their families, might be influenced by what the council does as far as support's concerned, because that is probably how this got to critical mass in the first place, is not someone not being proactive, and potentially at the police department, in developing a part-time system, a reserve system, in anticipation, and doing a survey, as Mayor Dunn mentioned at the last meeting, to be an advocate for his people. And I think that's first and foremost a job of a chief, is to advocate for his people so they can provide the service necessary. And so I do believe in written objectives, I do believe in written plans, and I have prepared a staffing plan and a law enforcement compensation survey of local area departments for y'all's review. And unfortunately, one at the bottom of the list, as you'll see, is Dunnellon. So I think if y'all's decision is, and it is, to have a police department, at least grant that Chief Scaglione, or whoever it may be, with the tools they need to do the job right. And you get what you pay for, and develop a quality police department. So, if I may.
Absolutely. I totally agree with what you said.
I feel like I'm in court. Permission to approach. I'm sorry.
Okay, does anybody else like to speak? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, please come forward.
Yes, sir. I'm Alan Brooks, Jr., 19255 Southwest 90th Lane Road, Dunnellon, Florida, 34432 in the country club. I'd just like to say that having a son that's in law enforcement in California, a brother-in-law that retired Pillsbury County Sheriff, and a deacon in my church, I'm Pastor First Bethel, retired from Orlando PD. I'm a proud chaplain for Dunnellon Police Department. I didn't know about any of this that was going on, but I intend to continue to be a chaplain serving this community, whether it be police department, accident here where the sheriff is investigating, accident here where state troopers are. I intend to continue doing that. So I don't know how we go about finding out how that works, but I just wanted to say that I am planning on staying on as a chaplain, and so hopefully we will be able to find out how we go about doing that, or who do we talk to, or talk to whoever is going to be, in charge of that. So that's all I want to say, is that I think Dunnellon is one of the safest places to live. It's growing fast. I think the police department does a wonderful job. I rode out with them on the boat patrols, and the job that they do for the community, and the safety they keep the people in here in Dunnellon. So I'm just planning to stay on the board with them. So I just wanted to say that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're going to have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Hey, 11575 Bot Springs Road, Dunnellon, Valerie Hanchar. Question, are we going to need to speak with the union regarding any of these
Can
options
you
that
hear
we're
me?
looking.
We
Yeah.
don't hear anything from you yet.
Oh, hang on. Hey, can you hear me? Mandy. Mandy. Hey, can you hear me? Mandy. Mandy. Mandy, can you hear me?
I still don't hear anything.
Mandy.
Can you speak up?
Hey, can you hear me now? Mandy.
I'm still not getting anything.
Mandy.
Can you say something? Say something again. Unmute yourself.
Hey.
I think it's that switch, Jason.
I'm unmuted.
Well, I switched it.
Can you say something again?
Say something again. Can you hear me? Mandy. Mandy. On Zoom and can hear you. Mandy.
Try again.
Mandy. Can you hear me?
Why don't we, as a council, go ahead and start discussion, and if they can get unmuted, we'll bring them in. First of all, I need to have a motion to accept Chris Edmonds as our temporary chief of City of Dunnellon Police Department effective tomorrow, April 27th, 2023. Okay?
Do you want me to read? Make a motion to appoint Officer Chris Scaglione as our temporary chief of the Dunnellon Police Department effective April 27, 2023.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, now we have discussion. Does anybody have any comments about Chris?
Do we have any idea right now how long his tenure is going to be? Or if we agree on this tonight, can we set it up for like a 30 or 60 or 90 days? Rather than an open-ended thing, so that we will be.
Go ahead.
There's a provision in the personnel manual that allows up to 90 days for a temporary hire in an emergency situation. So that's the provision that he would have to be hired under. And during that 90 days, we would advertise and accept applications for permanent chief. And if it were to go beyond that 90 days, we would have to have council's approval to extend it beyond 90 days if we haven't selected someone.
That's what I thought you told me the other day. I just didn't want to stumble through it.
And I think we have our issue resolved if you want
Okay.
to take.
All right. If they want to speak.
Hello.
We hear you.
Oh, thank God. Valerie Hanchar, 11575, Hot Springs Road, Dunnellon, Florida. My question is, can the council please give us information about the gentleman that's going to be, how long he's been with the council or the city and those types of things for qualifications? And will we need to talk to the union about any of this issue is what I'm trying to figure out.
Did you get that, Ingrid? Okay. I think what she was asking, number one, is about the qualifications for the officer that you're proposing to select. Do we know what those are? And number two, does this decision require contact with the union? The chief is not a member of the bargaining unit, so I wouldn't think so.
Mandy, I meant for the whole, for all of the officers, not just for this issue. Or not just for the chief.
Do you want to speak to that?
Okay, yeah, if the question is, does the, the bargaining unit, of course, is for the body of officers. This particular course of action was one of the ones discussed with the city's labor council, Mr. Yaw. So as far as how the city would go forward in dealing with the bargaining unit, that would be something to seek his counsel from, and once this appointment is made. But seeing as that's the advice received, I don't see any reason not to follow it. And at this time, I don't have any additional information to provide, simply because that is Labor Council's purview.
Sure. All right. Okay.
And could we hear the qualifications for those that don't know the gentleman, just that the public knows who this gentleman is, how long he's been with the city and those types of things?
Everybody on the council received a complete resume of this individual, and we're all satisfied with his performance.
That's wonderful, and I applaud that, but would you mind sharing those qualifications with the public that he'll also be protecting, just that the public will know?
It seems as though Valerie may be interested in the candidates standing up to say a few things about himself. Would that be helpful for the public?
Yep, it would be fine. Chris, would you mind standing up and introducing yourself and just explain a little bit about your career and your past experience?
And just for the record, I do think Chris is a wonderful gentleman. So I think as open policy that we just need to let him speak for himself. Like, thank you for that, Mr. Mayor, and for introducing himself to the rest of the citizens who have not been given a copy of the resume.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Chris Gaglione, police officer with the Dunnellon Police Department. I've been with the Dunnellon Police Department as a reserve status from 2020, and then July of last year I came on as full-time. So that's my experience with the Dunnellon Police Department. Prior to that, I was with the Daytona Police Department for a short period of time because this position came open. Prior to that, I was with the Ocala Police Department. I retired from the Ocala Police Department after 27 and a half years in their retirement system. Background is I have an extensive training background in training, all kind of use of force, firearms, defensive tactics, general instructing. I have been an instructor at the College of Central Florida, their recruit school, for this makes 28 years that I've been instructing and teaching basic recruits, law enforcement and corrections, which is where I work with Mr. Bradshaw. I worked with the Department of Education out of Tallahassee for, I don't even know, like from 1994 with the criminal justice programs and high school programs doing law enforcement, firefighting, and teaching, and helping the kids throughout the state of Florida advance their careers that way. I've been on a board for an international law enforcement training group. That's just the clip notes. So.
Okay. I think that's more than adequate. Thank you so much. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I just want to acknowledge all of the applicants for the temporary chief position and really appreciate all of the extensive information that everybody has provided. Some of them I looked at and thought, wow, the qualifications were really out of this world. And I can see tonight, just by with what Mr. Bradshaw has shared with us, that he's really put a lot of time and energy into not only being interested in the position, but wanting to help the city. I know that we got another interest from another applicant this morning who's very dedicated to the city. So I really hope that as we move through the 90-day period with Mr. Scaglione, that the rest of the, that we just continue to work together and utilize our resources. We need all the help and input that we can get from everybody. I've gotten some great letters and lists of suggestions and things just like this plan just presented to us. And I just can't stress enough how important it is, despite who we pick to be the temporary chief, that we all remain active and engaged for the community. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Brett? Jan?
I'm very pleased with how this meeting is progressing. Let's go on with it.
And like you, Julian, I've received phone calls, emails, texts, and fortunately for me, I got to talk to a lot of the officers. And all the officers I talked to about Chris couldn't say enough wonderful things about him. And that really swayed me very heavily. He has the respect of the officers that he works with and the officers that are staying. All the rest, I mean, like Julianne said, we've gotten applications for all kinds of people with all kinds of experience. And I want those applications for chief to keep coming in, because when we get to the final decision, of course, Chris will be involved in that final decision, and he may end up in that final position. But we're receiving a lot of applications from a lot of people, and I want those to keep coming, because I think the more we get to see the quality of the people that are out there applying for this position, hopefully we can make a good choice and move this police department in the right direction. Okay, that's all I have to say. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Are we ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of Chris being our temporary chief? Aye. All opposed? Chris, you are now our temporary chief, effective in the morning. You need to get with me. I have no idea how this works. Okay? But I'm very pleased, and I'm telling you what, this man has got the support of our police officers that are here. He has the support of all the officers that are staying, I can tell you that. And some of them that aren't staying. He's got their support as well. So, best of luck to you, Chris. And I've called you a lot in the last 3 or 4 days. I know your phone number, you know mine. Please reach out. I can do anything. Okay? Thank you so much. And I know you go on duty in about an hour. Okay. All right. Let's do that one. Now, the last motion that I want to make tonight, unless one of you gentlemen, ladies, would like to make a different one. I'm going to propose a motion to place Chief McQuaid on paid administrative leave for the remainder of his notice period, which will expire on May 12th, which is what we had agreed to in the prior meeting, with full pay and benefits in accordance with the conditions outlined in Attorney Yall's memo of April 24th, which detailed 4 different items. And if you, we have not shared that with the public, but I can try to read through as much of this, try not to stumble too bad. Mr. Yall's memo states, given the circumstances surrounding his resignation, the city will be best served by placing the chief on paid administrative leave for the remainder of his notice period, which by policy expires on May the 12th. As the council has appointed an interim chief, which we just did, and allow him a fresh start both in his role and for the council should relieve the chief of any and all official duties during the remainder of the transition period. The following conditions should be placed on the chief's leave. And the first 2 are 24 hours. In the next 24 hours, the chief needs to return any and all issued electronic devices, cell phones, laptops, etc. In the next 24 hours, the chief needs to return any and all other city property. Immediately, not in 24 hours, immediately, the chief must have a non-contact with any current police officers, including the interim chief. Immediately, he should cooperate with the council and the interim chief in connection with any matter arising out of the chief's service for the city, including and being available for from time to time to answer questions concerning the matter he handled on behalf of the city. This will be laid out in an agreement, by the way, signed by the council and the chief, just so everybody knows what's going on. And I assume, Andrew, you and Brett will be involved in that.
It could be, Mayor. I think if that's, ultimately, these are conditions that council is placing on the chief and placing on administrative leave. So I'm not sure that we need a written agreement.
Oh, okay.
But if that's recommended, that's certainly something we can bring back at the next meeting. Of course, that doesn't leave much time in between, and we would expect compliance immediately. Right. So I think this is more of a directive, but certainly, you know, perhaps the chief would be providing something in writing, and if you want to have an agreement, we can look into that. But I'm not sure what is legally necessary in this case.
Okay. Well, I'll look you as our attorney to help guide us in this. I'm not a lawyer. Okay. Again, that's what the motion is about. Do we have any public comment? Any public comment? Yes, sir.
If I may.
Please.
I'm Officer Roberts, Dunnellon Police. We intended to send the chief a farewell. I understand your motion that you're fixing to adhere to, but we was going to have dinner with him as a farewell for his service with us. We would like to continue to do that. And granted, it would not be, it'd be more of a restaurant or someone's residence, and that's our intention. We'd like to keep that as well. So if there's a time limit that you want him to stay away, and then we can make that later, that'd be fine. But just something to consider, we want to spend some time with him.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. I don't know if we can make an exception for something like a social event where they all happen to be there. I don't have a problem with it.
I think the non-contact it's rather broad in the memorandum, but I think that non-contact could be more narrowly tailored to just deal with department type of issues. So social contact and so forth, but understanding that city business should not be discussed.
Absolutely.
Business.
Okay. No, I totally get it. Okay, you guys have worked together with the chief for a long time. I don't want to interfere in this. Again, I think like Andrew's saying, we're talking about more business related and police related. Social events, I think we can make an exception, no problem. We'll figure that out. But y'all keep going on planning like you're going to plan. Okay? All right. No comments, Zoom, no comments anywhere?
I do have.
Hand up.
The audience. In the audience.
Does anybody in the audience else have a, oh, I'm sorry.
Kathy Dunn, 11386 Hendricks Drive. I think the whole juncture or beginning of this whole thing was in our city council trying to communicate to our police the concerns of the citizens about the enforcement of our laws in Dunnellon. And I hope that going forward, now that we have a fresh start, that you'll continue to reach out to the citizens to find out our concerns about law enforcement in our town as we try to revitalize our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Lynn McAndrew, 20390 The Granada. And Kathy has a very good point. I wanted to say that community policing has always worked well in Dunnellon. We had a chief once before who was very visible in the community. Everybody knew her name. Everybody felt very comfortable in going up to her and asking her questions or telling her any problems they had. And I really think that's the way Dunnellon should work, because we all are a small community. And not just you could tell her what you needed, but you would see results, you know. So I think that the future chief should really consider that sort of policing, community policing in Dunnellon.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any other comments?
I have one on Zoom.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hey, Valerie Hanshaw. Just real quick, the thing about Chief not being able to communicate with anyone, I understand, you know, that they don't want bad blood or whatever. But then I thought I also heard that he would be willing to communicate with us about anything that is he's currently working on and those types of things. So I'm just confused about how he's not allowed to talk, but yet, I mean, if the new chief, and I know, of course, he works with them daily almost, but it seems like there still needs to be that communication chain for the new chief and the old chief for just, I mean, Mandy, you understand about HR. When somebody news coming in, they need to know who's on first and what's on second. So I think that's just a kind of cutting our nose off to spite ourselves. If you want to put it just for certain parameters, I don't have a problem, but making it so vague is just opening it up to everyone's own interpretation. And then, you know, we're going to go on to the First Amendment rights as well. So those are my concerns. Thank you. And congratulations, Chris.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I don't have anyone else.
Okay.
Well, I have one more question, if I may. I reviewed, is there a clause or is it addressed about contact with the media?
No, there's not, but I thought about it as well. But then again, I think we run into the First Amendment rights, and I don't think we can restrict our former chief from contacting or being in touch with the media. I did think about that, but Andrew, you correct me, I would think that would run right straight into a First Amendment restriction.
Run into some issues there.
Yeah. So no, I thought of that too. Good move. Yeah.
I just have one. In this letter that we got, it says that the chief will advise the city in writing no less than 24 hours if he obtains knowledge of any claim, complaint, injury, or request for interview or other things. Do we know of anything that may be coming up in this meantime pertaining to that?
No, I think what your Labor Council is envisioning here is ultimately the police chief is the point of contact for a lot of type of complaints. Not legal complaints, those generally come to the city clerk as well as my office, but any type of complaints from the public. And for those who don't understand or don't know the transition of power and what has occurred here in Dunnellon, so I think the idea and what he's getting across is if something does come across the chief's desk, so to speak, that needs to be immediately conveyed to the city. And then to address some of the other things that came up, yes, you know, there is this sort of non-contact that condition that Labor Council has recommended regarding influence and personnel matters and that sort of thing, and I think that's what's encompassed there. But per the four, and these have to be read in conjunction and congruously, right? The chief is still expected to cooperate with council and the interim chief, so it's more of a matter of, hey, don't call me, we'll call you. As I see it in the interim chief dealing, if the interim chief needs the chief's counsel, then he has the open door to reach out to the chief. Okay. And that would be totally fine, and there's not an issue, you know, in that respect.
Okay, good question. I get turned around with all this stuff. Folks, Jan, you have any questions, comments?
I have a comment, and I was wondering about the possibility of the city of Dunnellon sending out a report to all media that has been following this rather dramatic story.
They're sitting in the back of the room. I think they're going to get this. But no, I think.
I mean, I'm talking like the Citrus Chronicle.
Well, they're not here, I don't think. But
No,
yeah.
I'm saying if we.
Just you're talking about a notice.
Yeah, a
Notify.
notice of what has happened, what has proceeded, the motions that were voted on unanimously this evening, in council and so on.
Okay. Andy, what do you think?
Well, we could write up a press release.
That's I would think
Press release is the word,
a
yes.
very good press release talking about the chief, McQuaid, and talking about Chris, and whatever else we can put in. I don't think it needs to be extensive, but it would be probably good. Absolutely. Okay.
Can I just ask you, Mr. Mayor, since I'm new to the area?
Sure.
And you had seen all the news and stuff, and you know the outlets. Was there any report on what went on last week that you saw, and was it covered accurately?
Austin Miller can address this. A couple of the newspapers really repeated the occurrence of the week before, which I found a little confusing. I actually read Austin's Ocala Star-Banner every week. I get it delivered to my house. After I read it, it was not flattering to me, which I expected it not to be. But I did text him and tell him I thought it was extremely fair and accurate reporting. And he texted me back, thank you. So, also with Channel 20, I thought their reporting last week was very good. But again, the the Riverland News and the Chronicle, which are actually owned by the same people, seem to just print the same article from the week before. So I was kind of confused, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that's exactly why I said we need to have a press release.
Right, right. Hopefully they'll get it right.
Updated information out there.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, did I get a motion on this? I think I did, yes. Okay, we got a motion. We had it? Okay. Can I get a motion to place Chief McQuaid on paid administrative leave for the remainder of his notice period, which expires on May 12th?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. We've had discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, unanimous. Let's see. I guess I covered that. Introduce Chris. Thank you so much for your service. And I want to thank all the officers, even the ones that are leaving. I think we've overall got an extremely good Dunnellon Police Department. And I want to remind everybody, the actions of Chief McQuaid resigning were his. They were not forced on him, and they were not imposed on him by this council. They were his own actions. I do want to address all the residents here that moving forward, we will have, for a while, a blended police force of Marion County Sheriff, deputies, and our own police officers. Again, if you see anything that you need to discuss with them, I would reach out to Chris in the Dunnellon Police Department, or me, or anybody on this council. Again, I think this should work. I think these two groups work very good together. We have an agreement with them now, and it all seems to work very well. So hopefully it will work well going forward. And again, I want to repeat to all the officers that, even the ones I didn't get a hold of, that if you go to Marion County and you decide this isn't what you wanted, or it turns out it's not what you thought it was, you're welcome to come back. You have not burned any bridges, and I hope you consider coming back, because you're good quality people, and clearly if you went to the Marion County Sheriff and they accepted you, you would be definitely qualified to come back. Does anybody on council have anything else we want to talk about on this matter? Good. Okay. Any other public comments? Anybody out in Zoom land? Okay. Again, I want to thank the citizens for the patience of this month. Honest to gosh, this has been the longest month of my life. It started on April 3rd, and here it is, whatever, 26th of April. And it seems like, well, we have. We've met every month, every week. We constantly meet. This has been a very difficult thing to get through, but I think we have gotten through it. I want to thank the council for all of our hard work, and council, the staff, and the attorneys. And I know you'll be excited. The legal bills this month are going to be quite large, and I'm sorry. I mean, this is a very tough issue to deal with. And we've had to reach out to a lot of people because we don't want to stumble, we don't want to make a mistake, we want to do what's right and fair for everybody. So please, hopefully it all works out well. And do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.